I've always wanted to turn heel. I've always like I didn't feel like I should have like been the baby face out of the Shield group. We all agreed. We thought it should have been Seth.
What's up, everybody? Ryan Satin here with the WWE Universal Champion, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. Roman, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, man, no problem.
So first, I want to discuss the main thing we're here to talk about, and that is this weekend's announcement regarding WrestleMania. How do you feel about WrestleMania 37 being relocated to Tampa, where last year's show was originally scheduled to take place?
I just think, it's awesome, and I think the commitment that WWE has to the communities that that we pinpoint, those locations, it means a lot to, the economy and what we do for a city. So it was, just obviously it was terrible being in the pandemic, going through, these COVID times. But to not be able to put on, a WrestleMania for Tampa was tough, and to have to do it in the PC was, I wasn't there, but it was quite different for everybody else I know. So to be able to go back and bring that experience to the Tampa Bay area, I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to go down. As far as the attendance and all that, I know they're still working that out. I know safety and keeping all the protocols up to par. Beyond that, obviously. Is going to be number one, but it just feels good to be able to go back to Tampa Bay and say we're going to be able to do it.
Totally. And, you mentioned the ticket availability thing and safety protocols and how they said that all of that will be announced in the coming weeks. But what will it mean to you and all the other performers if fans are able to come back to this show in some capacity? What will it mean to you to have that energy back from all the fans?
Man, I mean everything, to be honest, because it's been tough. It's my whole career has been based off of reactions. Like everything is due to interactions. I mean that's kind of always been my measuring stick. Is like even when the fans they hated me, it was still louder than everybody else. You know what I mean? And like everybody else can complain. They can go and bitch and complain about, oh, I don't get this opportunity, or I should be like this, or I should be here, I should be the main event. But when it came down to it, my reaction was always way louder than everybody else's. There's only one guy, Cena, that's it. And it was obvious for obvious reasons, and he's no longer here anymore. But that's the difference, is we don't have that. So you have to be able to pull out different tools. You can't be a one-trick pony. And I feel like people called me that quite a bit, in the first part of my career, a limited move set, what have you. But like being in this time, in these pandemic times, you got to be able to pull out different layers to your performance, different, attributes and show different tools. And that's what I've done over the past 6 months, is show a different side of me as a performer, completely change the dynamic to my matches and the way people perceive my storytelling in ring. Added so much more dialogue to now everybody wants to cut a promo while they're wrestling. And they can't, because I'm the one that's doing it at the top level. So when it gets compared to what I'm doing, I cried in the ring, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? Like, and to be able to tap into these emotions and to be able to put on these type of performances, I just feel like I'm doing it at a different level. And I've had to do that because I don't have that security blanket of the reactions being really loud. Hell, like if I ever got to a point where it's like, man, I don't know what I want to do. All I got to do is sit still and look at the crowd, and they'll make some kind of noise. You know what I mean? But I don't have that vehicle there anymore. So you have to really be smart about the way you put on your performance nowadays.
Without fans there, I feel like you guys have all had to really almost like rethink the craft as a whole in general for all those reasons. Like you're not making this person in the crowd pop anymore. Instead, you're doing stuff that's more TV friendly, that stuff that's going to tell that's going to show for the viewer on TV. When you were away for a little while, did you kind of like reconstruct how you were going to think when you returned to the ring and how you were going to do everything different? Because like you said, everything has been just a total different character. You've changed everything, the nickname, you've added more moves, you talk in the ring loudly now. Like you said, you cried once. Was this something that subconsciously you thought about while you were away to figure out how you were going to apply it to wrestling when you came back?
Yeah, I watched a couple of the shows. I did not follow it like thoroughly. I try to use as much of the time to be with my family and just, really focus in and be present here at home. But on a few of the shows that I saw, I was just like, man, this is trash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even like, and that's me from the very top thinking this because I always want to be way better than everybody else. There's no disrespect to what they were doing. They're busting their ass working really hard. But for me, I was like, man, I know when it's time to pull my trigger, I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly the kind of stories that I want to tell and the different tools that I want to utilize in order to connect with our crowd, our audience that's watching at home. But I knew it was just all based off of emotion. I knew that I had to be emotionally connected to what I was doing to be able to wear the skin of the character that I'm trying to convey to our audience. So that was the most important thing, is that I could completely focus in and concentrate 100% on what I was trying to do, and the emotions that I was trying to convey throughout my narrative.
So this weekend, they also said that WrestleMania 38 will take place in Dallas, Texas, and WrestleMania 39 will happen at SoFi Stadium in LA instead of 37 as planned. I think one match that people want to see at one of those three WrestleManias is you versus The Rock. What do you think about all the chatter over the possibility of that match and fans really, really talking about how badly they want to see it happen?
I think it's great. I think anytime our fans are buzzing on a matchup or are buzzing on an event, I think that's important. That's what it's all about, is that water cooler talk, that fantasy warfare, creating that escapism for our audience to discuss and debate, and criticize and bring positive energy towards. So I would definitely think this one would be the one to wait for, and they might have to wait for it, especially due to the lineup that you just spoke about next year. This year obviously we're in Tampa, and next year we'll be in Dallas, and then we'll go to Hollywood for 39. And I think it just makes sense. He's the biggest movie star in the world. He's the biggest box office attraction for the big screen out there. So to be able to take that and match it up with the biggest box office attraction in sports entertainment within a wrestling ring, I think that some magic would be made. And not only that, this wouldn't be possible. I'm in my prime. I'm at my peak physical condition, as far as in that ring, athleticism, the whole nine. I can slip and slide. I can do anything in the ring I want to do. I just choose not to do it all. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But none of this would be possible if Dwayne wasn't in great shape. If he, you know what I mean? If he was just out there playing dad roles and was fat and did not take it, but he busts his ass every single day. Every single week you see these new workout videos coming, and he's just clanging and banging, doing his thing, lifting all the weights. That wouldn't be, we wouldn't be able to step foot in the ring together if he wasn't in phenomenal shape, and if he didn't take care of himself, and if he didn't keep himself prepared for a peak performance. So hats off to him. And that's motivating stuff for everybody. I think that's why he is, on the level that he is people tap into him for inspiration. And it's encouraging for someone like me, or anybody in my line of work, to see that, to have that longevity, to still have that physical capability, to be healthy, to continue to grow, physically and, emotionally as a person. It's inspiring to see.
So I got two more questions for you, and then I'll let you get out of here. First, I'm fascinated by your heel turn, because it feels like this is something fans have been clamoring for what it feels like forever at this point. Like you said, they were already booing you and they were supposed to be cheering for you. Can you talk at all about how it finally came to fruition before you returned at SummerSlam? Is this something that you pushed for? Is this an idea that was brought to you? How did it all finally come together?
I've always wanted to turn heel. I've always like I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I should have like been the baby face out of the Shield group. We all agreed. We thought it should have been Seth, and then keep me as a bad guy. But you know, it just happens the way it happens. The numbers lined up the way they did. Things were starting to work as a good guy for me, and then you know, obviously, it took a toll here and there, and there were some nights where there's some loud boos, and people like they take that response and they run with it because sometimes it was at the shows that were big and that were seen, you know, the pay-per-views, the Royal Rumble in Philly. Just about everybody gets booed in Philly. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you know, those Philly is so loud. They're gonna boo Daniel Bryan one day. You know what I mean? Like that's how just Philly works. It's just Philly. So, but like people aren't there every single week, you know, to see all the live events, to see, you know, how well the live events would be doing or the tours would be doing. We'd be selling out houses and I'd be the top baby face, crowd going nuts, cheering the hell out of me. So it was one of those things where it was like, man, I want to do this because I know I can tap into a different level of character work. I know I can create so many more layers as a performer if they allow me to do this. But the numbers just wouldn't let me. Like I said before, the response, no matter what, was always big. And in this day and age, I think controversy is always sold, but if you don't have a certain level of negativity coming at you, you might not be doing as good as you think you are. If you don't have that many haters, you know what I mean? Like I think
Oh
Kobe
yeah.
said it. Like you got to have some haters. You know
Yeah.
that's the key to success sometimes. But I think the true key to that success is how you handle the haters. How you know in your psyche can you know allow them to affect you or not affect you. But yeah, man, I wanted to for a long time, and when you know when the opportunity came, I jumped on it. It was kind of a team discussion. Obviously, you got to have the big man involved, and he's got to be you know he's got to have the blessing from him. But it just excuse me, it just all seemed to work out with perfect timing. And I think you know I think we're in a point where we're in a time frame being in a pandemic, no crowds, no you know no ticket sales. Let's just create this content and take care of our you know our television providers and our audiences watching at home. Let's take a chance. You know what I mean? If there's not you know if this ain't the time to gamble, then I don't know when is. So I'm glad we did.
Well, the gamble definitely paid off. I say it in my articles on Fox Sports all the time and in my videos that I think your character right now is one of the most, it's probably the most compelling character in all of professional wrestling right now. I love what you're doing. So I'm very glad you guys took that risk. Lastly, I'm going to let you get out of here. Here's my final question. My final question in these interviews now, and it's regarding each superstar's finishing move. So for you, this is obviously about the spear, and it's a three-part question. One, what's the best spear you ever delivered? Two, who takes the best spear? And three, what's one spear you wish you could have back for whatever reason?
The best spear, man, it's tough. I've hit so many of those things.
Or even just your personal favorite?
Probably I don't know if it was on so it was on I did it on two people. I ran down the ramp, I think at SummerSlam, excuse me, and speared Rusev at like SummerSlam or something like that. I think that's like all I did. What a great night. You just come out in SummerSlam and just spear a guy and then hit the bar after. So that one was pretty wide open. Anytime I can get like a really big run and launch. So like that's like there's always this debate for the spear. It's like, well, you don't do it like Goldberg and like that's because I'm a really good performer. You know what I mean? Like I do it like I do it. So I do a launch and make it very aesthetic. You know what I mean? I'm not like on the gridiron trying to like if I want to push somebody's organs through their spine, I can do that. You know, there's no problem. Easy, 6'3", 265, run through your ass. But I try to like I try to launch it and make it look as like Superman-esque as possible, like you're flying, darting through the air. And then I did the same thing to Big Show years ago. But like Big Show's so big. I don't know if you've met him before, but he's the most massive human being in the world. Because he's not just tall, he's thick. You know what I mean?
He's like a wall when you see him.
Yeah, it's like one finger is like that. So like still the biggest human I've ever been around in my life. But I did the same thing. And when I hit him, I almost just like ricocheted off of him. But him being he's a great worker, so he's able to make it look awesome. But yeah, he was like running into a steel wall for sure at that speed. Probably, and I'm only to say he's probably going to be the best at taking it because I messed it up. AJ, look, I don't know. Some of the guys can cop the flip. Like I think Buddy Murphy copped the flip. I'm sure Seth. All these guys can cop the flip. But in order to know, you have to like hit them and kind of ricochet off of them and kind of do a bit of a barrel roll to allow them to get that flip right. Because I didn't know AJ was going to do that. So when I hit him with the spear, I was still wrapped around him and I kind of stopped him from rotating and he completely like landed on his neck. It was not my fault. I did not know this, but it looked rough. But like, I know he could have easily copped that flip and made it look crazy. But I just was not on the same page. But luckily, the match was over. But yeah, all those guys who can cop that flip, and a lot of our guys are great athletes who can do that. It's just a choice if they want to do it or not. Maybe we'll make Kevin Owens do it. He's like a butterfly or like a bumblebee. He's like he can fly, but he looks like he shouldn't.
It's true. Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like he can do things that you're like, there's no way he can. Oh, he's flying. Yeah.
He does like swantons sometimes, and you're like, what?
Yeah, Kev is like oddly athletic and oddly strong, like just dad strong. It's weird. He can't pick up a dumbbell, but he can pick up like a human. It's strange. But yeah, I think AJ is really good at making everything look awesome. So I'd probably put AJ up there as taking it the best. I will say though, Rusev was really good. We had a good timing as far as like in the ring. Like I always had a good chemistry with him to where I could just like come off the ropes, take one step and launch and dart across the ring. And he knew just like the perfect height to lift up and just to give that open up for me. So yeah, we did that thing all over the world. So those were good times.
And then the last one is, what's one spear you wish you could take back for whatever reason? Sounds like it might be that Big Show one.
No, I mean that one. He probably put some damage on me too, being so big. But if I could go back, I'd fix that AJ spear. I would have. Yeah, I wouldn't have held on to him so tight, and because I kind of drove him into the ground a little bit. But I think I'd go back and let him do his thing. I would disengage from it and let him cop his flip or whatever. He'd probably throw a spin in there too. He's crazy.
Do a full 450 out of it somehow.
You never know. Yeah, I mean, he took a stunner, I think, from KO and did that same situation. So there's no telling what he could do with enough momentum.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview today. I really appreciate it. Everyone, make sure you check out Roman Reigns defending the WWE Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens, like he just mentioned. And also make sure you check out Roman Reigns every week on Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. Thanks, Roman.
Thanks, bro.
Download the all-new Fox Sports app now.